What if Israel decided to attack Malaysia? I know. Sounds like a Netflix thriller, maybe starring someone famous in the 90s. But just for a second, let's entertain this crazy hypothetical. Seems wildly improbable, right? Thousands of miles apart, no shared borders, biggest fights limited to social media comments. Today, a single tweet can spark an international incident. This is a real-world chess game governments play every day. Not just a headline in Kuala Lumpur, not just a headline in Tel Aviv. It would send shockwaves across the globe. Diplomacy suddenly gets interesting and terrifying. Promises, treaties, handshakes, backroom favors. Alliances are a nation's invisible armor, and when it counts, you see how strong that armor really is. Now forget the hypothetical. Let's get to the facts. Who has Malaysia's back? Who would show up if things went south? Not about who likes their satay or their beaches. It's treaties, decades of drills, and massive economic ties. We'll reveal the countries likely to stand with Malaysia, flag by flag, fact by fact. You might be surprised. All right, let's kick things off down under. Kangaroos, Hugh Jackman, and that accent. But Australia is a serious military power. The Five Power Defence Arrangements, FPDA, signed in 1971, links Malaysia, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. If Malaysia or Singapore were attacked, members immediately consult. The toughest group chat you can have. Australia wouldn't watch from the sidelines. They'd be first to get the call. RAAF has a long presence at Butterworth, symbol of shared history and constant joint drills. A stable Malaysia secures vital lanes. Conflict in Malacca would be catastrophic for Australian trade and security. They have proximity, capability, and a signed commitment. The Aussies would be on the first flight to consult. Now, Japan, tech prowess, serene temples, and world-class ramen. Japan's security role is complicated. A self-defense force, not an army, but policy is evolving. Deep economic ties, cars, electronics, logistics, bind Japan to Malaysia's stability. Japan's FOIP vision. Stability, freedom of navigation, rule of law, from Africa's shores to Pacific islands. A conflict in Malaysia threatens sea lanes and energy lifelines. Japan can't afford to lose. Direct combat is constrained, but support is immense. Logistics, intelligence, and MSDF patrols. Expect financial and humanitarian aid and a stabilizing maritime presence. Quiet, strategic, effective. Back to Europe, the United Kingdom. A deep, layered, complicated history. Colonial roots transformed into modern partnership. The UK helped design the FPDA as forces withdrew east of Suez. A promise to consult, not disappear. Regional footprint and global reach. Carriers and advanced warships routinely visit the Indo-Pacific. An attack on Malaysia would test global Britain. Backing down would damage standing. Expect strong diplomacy, sanctions, surveillance support, logistics, and a joint naval presence with Australia and New Zealand. The old guard may be distant, but the UK still answers the call. New Zealand, calm, principled, and tougher than many realize. A founding FPDA member, the NZDF trains alongside Malaysia in Bersama Shield and Bersama Lima. Real interoperability. Muscle memory for crisis, seamless communication, shared procedures, unified playbooks. For NZ, it's about collective security and a stable, rules-based region. Likely contributions, special forces, frigates for patrols, and P-8A aircraft to watch the seas. Coordinated through FPDA, NZ's response is measured, practical, and reliable. The neighbor, Singapore, separated by a narrow strait. A family relationship, history, rivalry, affection, complexity. Once one country, a painful 1965 split. As an FPDA member, Singapore must consult, but this is existential, right on their doorstep. Small but deadly deterrent. A top-tier military ready to secure the Singapore and Malacca Straits. Immediate, multifaceted response. De-escalation diplomacy. Highest military alert. Real-time intelligence with FPDA. Defending Malaysia is defending themselves. The ultimate act of self-preservation. France, not FPDA, but a robust global military presence. Major arms supplier to Malaysia, Scorpène submarines, rotary assets, ties that include training, maintenance, and parts. France is an Indo-Pacific power with territories and forces. They care about sea lanes and order. They regularly send naval assets, asserting freedom of navigation. Likely strong UNSC backing, plus intelligent support from satellites and listening posts. Expect a show-of-force task group, strategic support driven by interests and influence. The United States, Hollywood, hamburgers, and the largest military ever assembled. No mutual defense treaty, but a comprehensive partnership and deep military cooperation, from carrot to special forces training. Over a quarter of trade and half the world's oil shipments pass Malacca. Freedom of navigation is non-negotiable. The response: a carrier strike group, swift condemnation, real-time satellite and signals intelligence, logistics, and advanced weaponry. Washington would coordinate with Australia, Japan, and Singapore to build a united front. In a major attack scenario, U.S. involvement would be almost inevitable. In a world where alliances shape outcomes, Malaysia wouldn't stand alone. From treaty-bound FPDA commitments, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore, to the strategic interests of Japan, France, and the United States, a network would click into place. Bound by treaties, shared economies, and the need for stability, they would likely step up. Alliances are insurance, drills, diplomacy, and partnerships you hope never to cash in. The scenario may be far-fetched, but the alliances are real, an invisible architecture of peace that for Malaysia is strong.